Welcome to your sleep story. I'm so glad you're here tonight. Whatever this day was, however long it felt, however much it carried, it is behind you now, completely behind you. You made it through, and that is everything. So let's begin. Before I take you anywhere tonight, I want to count you down from 10 to 1. And as I count, I want you to allow yourself to sink just a little deeper into wherever you are right now. Feel the weight of your body. Feel what is beneath you, holding you. And with each number, just let go a little more. 10. Allow your eyes to close. Gently, completely. There is nothing you need to see right now. 9. Feel your shoulders and let them drop as far as they want to go. 8. A slow breath in through the nose. 7. And all the way out. 6. Your hands. Feel them opening. Whatever you've been holding today, you can put it down now. 5. Your jaw is soft. Your face is soft. 4. Your legs are heavy, warm. 3. You're drifting, not asleep yet, but moving that way. 2. The day is behind you, completely and entirely behind you. 1. And now, tonight's sleep story, the relaxation. Before we go anywhere, I want to stay here with you for a moment. Just here, just now, because this moment, this exact moment right now, where you are lying in the quiet, deserves a little attention, a little kindness. Take a breath in for me, from the very bottom of the belly. Good, and let it go. And as you breathe out, I want you to imagine that everything you were carrying today, every worry, every unfinished thought, every heavy thing is just leaving with that breath, just drifting away. You don't have to solve anything tonight. You don't have to figure anything out. You don't have to be anything other than exactly what you are right now. A person who deserves rest, a person who deserves sleep, because you do, you really do. Whatever happened today, however hard it felt, however much it carried, you made it through. You are here, and that is enough. That is more than enough. You are safe, and you are here. Bring your awareness gently to your feet now. Just notice them and allow them to soften. The toes uncurling, the arches releasing. All the small held tension of the day simply letting go. Let that softness travel upward, through the calves, through the knees, the thighs. All of it warm, all of it heavy, all of it resting now. Your lower back, your hips. Allow yourself to feel the surface beneath you taking your weight completely, fully. You don't have to hold yourself up anymore. The earth has you. The warm stone has you. The belly soft. The chest soft. The heart beating steadily as it always has, as it always will. Your shoulders dropping, your arms heavy and warm, your hands open and still, the neck long and loose, and your face, let the jaw go. Let the forehead smooth. Let the eyes be completely still behind their lids. There you are, from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, completely soft, completely warm, completely at rest. You've done beautifully. Now, let me take you somewhere the cypress trees stand black against a fatting gold sky, and the fountains run quietly in the dark, and a very old man walks the gravel paths of a garden that has been measuring the hours of the sun since the time of the Medici. Come with me. The road to the villa. Imagine a road in Tuscany, or perhaps the hills above Rome, the soft, folded country of Lazio, where the cypress trees stand in long, dark rows along the ridgelines, and the olive groves run silver green down every slope. It does not matter exactly which. What matters is this: a small road climbing through the hills in the last hour before sunset. The light at this hour in central Italy has a particular quality. Painters have spent centuries trying to explain it and have mostly failed, because it is not a quality of color so much as a quality of feeling. The light goes soft, golden. It comes in low and sideways and finds the undersides of leaves, the texture of old stone, the dust hanging in the air above a dry field. The Italians call this hour l'ora dorata, the golden hour. It is not metaphorical here. The hills this evening are genuinely gold, the dry grass of late summer catching the low sun and holding it, the stone walls along the road glowing faintly amber, the cypress trees, normally so dark and severe, softened at their edges by the light passing through whatever needles catch it. The road climbs. It narrows. Ahead a wall, old, very old, built of the same warm stone as the hillside itself, the wall rising and falling with the contour of the land, climbing toward a gate. The gate is iron, wrought ornate, the iron curled into patterns of leaves and vines that have not changed since they were forged. Beyond the gate, a villa, and beside it, though you cannot see it yet, though it waits behind the cypress and the boxwood hedges, a garden. You pass through the gate, the garden gate, the gravel beneath your feet. It crunches, the particular sound of an old Italian garden path, gravel that has been raked and walked for centuries, the stones small and pale, the path edged in clipped box that has held its shape for longer than anyone living can remember. The air immediately changes. Cooler, the garden holds its own microclimate. The tall cypress and umbrella pine creating shade, the fountains creating moisture, the stone walls holding the cool of the night, even as the day's heat lingers in the open hills beyond. And the smell, box hedge first, that particular green, slightly bitter, almost feline smell of boxwood that is so specifically the smell of formal Italian gardens that it has become, for many people, simply the smell of Italy itself. Then beneath it, something sweeter, jasmine, climbing somewhere on a wall you cannot yet see. Its small white stars opening in the cooling air of evening, releasing their fragrance the way jasmine always does, more generously after dark than during the heat of the day. And beneath the jasmine, stone, the warm, dry mineral smell of old limestone and travertine that has held the sun all day and is beginning now to release it slowly back into the cooling air. You walk forward. The path opens. The garden reveals itself. The garden, it is laid out in the old way, the Renaissance way, geometric, ordered, a garden built not as a wild thing, not as nature left to itself, but as a demonstration of the human mind's capacity to find pattern, proportion, and harmony, and to impose them gently on the unruliness of growing things. Terraces. The garden descends the hillside in a series of level terraces, each one held by a low retaining wall of the same warm stone, each one connected to the next by a flight of shallow stone steps, worn in their centers by 400 years of feet. On the first terrace, the parterre, the boxwood hedges clipped into elaborate patterns, scrolls and knots, a green geometry laid out like an enormous embroidered cloth spread across the earth. The patterns visible best from above, from the loggia of the villa, where generations of gardens owners have stood and admired what their gardeners made. Statues at the corners of the parterre and along the central axis, marble figures from another age, gods and nymphs and allegorical women representing the seasons, their faces softened now by centuries of rain, lichen finding its way into the folds of their stone garments, moss greening their shaded sides. Fountains, you can hear them before you see them. The sound of water, not loud, not dramatic, but constant, layered, coming from several directions at once. Each fountain on its own terrace, contributing its particular note to the garden's larger music. And cypress, tall, black-green, absolutely vertical, standing like sentinels along the central axis of the garden, marking the straight line that runs from the villa's front door down through every terrace to the very edge of the property, where the formal garden gives way to the wilder grove beyond. This is the bones of the garden, the order, the geometry, the Renaissance mind's belief that beauty and reason were the same thing, and that a garden, properly made, could prove it. But there is something else here too, something that does not appear in any garden plan. Time, you can feel it in this place more than almost anywhere else. Time settled into the stone. The sundial, at the center of the garden, on the middle terrace, where the central axis crosses the cross-axis, where 4 gravel paths meet at a circle of pale stone. The sundial, it is old, older than the rest of the garden. In fact, the sundial was here before the present villa, a relic of an earlier garden on this same site, carried forward through 3 centuries of renovation and replanting, because no one in 400 years has been willing to remove it. It stands on a stone pedestal, waist high, carved with garlands of fruit and flowers that have softened with weather into mere suggestions of their original crispness. The dial itself is bronze, or was bronze once. Now it is the deep green-black of bronze that has been outdoors for 4 centuries. The patina that forms when copper meets weather and time, and does not resist either. The gnomon, the raised, angled blade that casts the shadow, rises from the center of the dial at a precise angle, an angle calculated by some long-dead mathematician to match exactly the latitude of this hillside, so that the shadow it casts marks the hours correctly only here, only at this exact place on the earth, nowhere else. Around the rim, the Roman numerals, worn, some of them nearly illegible now, the bronze eaten by centuries of rain and sun, and the slow, patient erosion of weather. And below the numerals, an inscription in Latin, vulnerant omnes, ultima necet. Every hour wounds, the last one kills. A grim inscription, perhaps, for a garden meant for pleasure and contemplation. But the Renaissance mind did not consider this grim. It considered it true, and truth, properly placed in a beautiful garden, becomes something other than grim. It becomes a kind of gift, a reminder gently given in a place of roses and fountains and golden light, that time is moving, that the hour is precious, that beauty is not separate from mortality, but woven through it. The sundial has been telling this truth on this terrace for 400 years, and tonight, in the last light, its shadow is very long. Elo Arienzio. He is 78 years old. His name is Lorenzo. He has tended this garden for 51 years. He came to the villa as a young man of 27, hired by the previous owner's father to help the old gardener, whose name was Bernardo, and who had himself tended the garden for nearly 50 years before that. Lorenzo learned everything from Bernardo, not from books, though Lorenzo has read every book about Italian Renaissance gardens that has ever come into his hands, and there have been many. From walking beside Bernardo, from watching Bernardo's hands on the clippers, on the box hedges, on the old bronze sundial that Bernardo cleaned every spring with a particular soft cloth and a particular gentle motion that he taught Lorenzo without ever quite explaining why it mattered so much. It is bronze, Bernardo told him. It does not need much. It needs to be left alone mostly. But once a year in spring, you clean it. Gently, you do not polish it bright. That would ruin the patina, the very thing that makes it beautiful. You simply remove what does not belong. The bird droppings, the leaf litter caught in the gnomon's base. You leave the green-black darkness that the centuries have given it. You respect what time has done. You do not try to undo it. Lorenzo has done this every spring for 51 years. He is doing it in his way, every evening too, not cleaning, but checking, walking to the sundial as the sun lowers, watching the shadow lengthen across the worn Roman numerals, confirming the way he has confirmed 10,000 evenings before this one, that the hour is what the hour should be, that the garden is keeping time correctly, that all is as it should be. He He is walking toward it now, his pace slow, unhurried, the pace of a man who has nowhere else he needs to be, and who has, in any case, learned over 51 years that hurrying in this garden accomplishes nothing the garden itself does not already accomplish on its own schedule. The evening walk, Lorenzo's evening round. He does this every day, without exception, in every season, in every weather that does not actually prevent walking. He begins at the top terrace, by the villa. He walks the central axis downward, terrace by terrace, checking what needs checking. The fountains first. There are 5 of them in this garden, each with its own personality, each with its own particular sound. And Lorenzo knows them all the way a parent knows the different cries of different children. The top fountain, a simple basin, fed by a single jet that rises and falls back upon itself. Its sound a steady, continuous splash, unchanging through the day and the night and the seasons. He checks the water level. Good. He checks the small grate where leaves collect. A few leaves. He clears them with his hand, the water cool against his old fingers, and continues. The second fountain, more elaborate. A stone basin shaped like a shell, water spilling from the mouths of 3 carved dolphins into the basin below. The dolphins worn smooth, and round by centuries of water, finding its way over the same stone, over and over, infinitely patient, infinitely persistent. This is how stone is shaped by water, Lorenzo thinks, though he does not think it in words exactly, having thought it so many times across 51 years that the thought has become something closer to a feeling, a recognition that requires no language anymore. Patience, persistence, the slow, certain work of something soft against something hard, over enough time, until even stone gives way. He continues down. The 3rd terrace, the garden's most famous feature, the grotto, built into the retaining wall of the 3rd terrace. The grotto is a small artificial cave, faced with rough-cut stone and seashells and pieces of coral and colored glass, all set into the wall in patterns that were the height of fashion 400 years ago, and that still, today, produce in visitors a particular kind of delighted astonishment. Inside the grotto, cool, dark, a small spring-fed pool, its water perfectly clear, reflecting whatever light reaches it in strange, broken, shifting patterns against the shell-encrusted walls. The grotto was meant to surprise. The Renaissance garden was full of such surprises, moments designed to interrupt the geometric order of the parterres and the straight lines of the cypress avenues with something wilder, something more theatrical, something that reminded the garden's visitors that nature, even when ordered, retained its capacity to astonish. Lorenzo loves the grotto more than he would ever say aloud. He comes to it every evening. He stands at its entrance and feels the cool air moving out of it, the particular smell of the grotto, wet stone, old shell, the green mineral smell of water that has been underground. He listens to the small sound of the spring feeding the pool. A trickle, barely audible, the oldest sound in this garden, perhaps older than the statues, older than the boxwood, older even than the bronze sundial. The spring was here before the garden was built around it. The spring will be here, presumably, long after this garden, like all gardens eventually do, has changed beyond recognition or returned to wilderness. The water does not care about Renaissance fashion. The water simply continues. Lorenzo finds this comforting. He has always found it comforting. The cypress avenue, down the central axis, the cypress trees, there are 40 of them, planted in 2 rows of 20, flanking the main gravel path that runs the full length of the garden from the villa to the lower gate. They were planted according to the garden's old records that Lorenzo has read in the villa's library, in a leather-bound ledger kept by generations of gardeners before him. In the year 1574, 450 years ago, the cypress that grows in this part of Italy, the Mediterranean cypress, can live for many centuries. Some specimens elsewhere in Italy are believed to be over 1,000 years old. These 40 trees, planted in 1574, are not the oldest cypress in Italy, but they are old enough that the men who planted them could not have imagined the trees they would become. The towering, black-green columns, 40 meters tall in places, their shadows at this hour of the evening stretching the full width of the terrace and beyond. Lorenzo walks beneath them, the light filtering through their dense, dark foliage in small fragments, not the dappled light of a deciduous tree, softer, more golden, but something more severe, more architectural. Cypress foliage is dense. It does not let much light through. What light does pass comes in narrow shafts, precise as the gnomon's shadow on the sundial, marking its own kind of time against the gravel path. The smell of cypress, resinous, slightly bitter, the smell of the Mediterranean itself, in a way, the smell that fills every hillside in this part of the world, the smell that, for anyone who has ever spent time in central Italy, becomes inseparable from the place itself. Lorenzo breathes it without noticing he is breathing it. He has breathed it every day for 51 years. It is simply the smell of being here, of being home, the history of the garden. Let me tell you something about this place, because the garden you are walking through tonight is not simply old. It is a particular kind of old, a Renaissance garden, built according to ideas that were, when this garden was first laid out, revolutionary. Before the Renaissance, the gardens of medieval Europe were mostly practical things. Kitchen gardens, herb gardens, the small enclosed spaces of monasteries, where useful plants were grown for food and medicine. The Renaissance changed this. The humanist scholars of the 15th century, rediscovering the classical texts of ancient Rome, rediscovered also the ancient Roman idea of the garden as a place of philosophy, of leisure, of the cultivated mind at rest. Pliny the Younger had written, 15 centuries earlier, of his villa gardens, of the pleasure of walking among ordered plantings while contemplating great thoughts. The Renaissance garden designers took this idea and built it in stone and box and water, geometry as philosophy, proportion as virtue. The straight central axis of this garden, running from the villa down through the parterre, past the sundial, through the cypress avenue to the lower gate. This axis is not simply a path. It is a statement. It says, the human mind can impose order on the world, and that order, properly conceived, is itself a form of beauty, and that beauty, properly experienced, elevates the soul. This was the Renaissance idea. It sounds almost naive to modern ears, perhaps, but walk this path at golden hour, with the cypress black against the sky, and the fountains running, and the sundial telling its silent, patient truth about mortality and time. It does not feel naive. It feels, instead, like something the makers of this garden understood correctly, that a garden made with sufficient care and attention really can elevate something in the person who walks through it. Lorenzo has felt this elevation every single day for 51 years. He has never grown tired of it. He does not expect to. The gardener's tools in the small stone building at the edge of the lowest terrace, the garden's tool house, Lorenzo keeps it as carefully as he keeps the garden itself. Inside the long-handled shears, the ones he uses for the box hedges, their blades kept sharp with a particular whetstone he has used for decades. The wooden handles worn smooth by his own hands over 51 years of use. These are not new tools. They were Bernardo's tools before they were his. Some of them, the oldest ones, were the tools of the gardener before Bernardo, a man Lorenzo never met, whose name is recorded in the villa's old ledgers, but who has otherwise vanished into the garden's long history, leaving behind only his tools and the shape of the hedges he first clipped into form a century or more ago. The shears, the rake, the small trowel, its blade worn thin and bright at the edge from decades of digging in the same beds, a ball of twine used for keeping the new growth of climbing roses tied to their supports, a wooden ladder, old, its rungs worn smooth, used for reaching the higher branches of the espaliered fruit trees along the south wall. Each tool in its place, each tool cared for. Lorenzo does not believe in good tools that are neglected. He believes, though he would never phrase it so grandly, that the relationship between a craftsman and his tools is itself a kind of ongoing conversation, a mutual care, the tool serving the hand, and the hand, in turn, keeping the tool sharp and clean and ready. He oils the wooden handles each autumn. He sharpens the blades before each use. He has done this for 51 years. The tools have outlasted 3 popes, several wars, and the complete transformation of the modern world beyond this garden's walls. The tools do not know any of this. They simply continue to do what good tools do. They wait patiently to be used well. The fruit wall along the southern boundary of the lowest terrace, a long stone wall, warm from the day's sun, even now, even as the evening cools, espaliered against it. The old technique of training fruit trees to grow flat against a wall. Their branches spread horizontally in careful, deliberate patterns. The technique that Renaissance gardeners borrowed from medieval monastery gardens and refined into an art form of its own. Pears, figs, a single ancient apricot tree, its trunk gnarled and twisted with age, its espaliered branches still, even now in late summer, holding the last few fruits of the season, small, deep orange, almost too soft to pick, their skin giving slightly under the lightest touch. Lorenzo stops here. He always stops here on his evening walk. He reaches up his old hand, still steady, still sure, and finds one ripe apricot among the leaves. He picks it. He does not eat it immediately. He holds it, the warmth of the walls, stored sun still in the fruit's skin, the smell of it sweet, slightly resinous. The smell of late summer in this particular corner of Italy where the apricots have grown against this particular wall for longer than anyone can precisely say. He eats it slowly, standing at the wall, the juice on his fingers. This is one of the small, daily pleasures of his work that he has never spoken of to anyone, never written down, never considered remarkable enough to mention. But it has happened nearly every summer evening for 51 years. The apricot at the wall, the taste of the garden, quite literally in his mouth. The FOUNTINS, AT dusk. The light is changing now, the golden hour giving way to something deeper. The blue hour, Elora blue, though Lorenzo has never heard anyone call it that, it being simply the time of evening when the sky deepens from gold to a rich, saturated blue, the color that exists for perhaps 20 minutes between sunset and full dark, the color that painters have struggled to capture as much as the gold that preceded it. The fountains in this light become something different. During the day, the water is bright, individual droplets catching the sun, the whole display dazzling and a little busy to the eye. In the blue hour, the fountains slow down. Not literally. The water flows at the same rate it always has. But to the eye, in the deepening light, the water seems to move more slowly, more deliberately. Each drop and splash and ripple gaining a kind of weight and significance it did not have in the brightness of day. The sound, too, changes. Or perhaps it is simply that there is less to distract from it now. The birds that filled the garden with their evening chorus an hour ago have mostly gone quiet, settling into the cypress and the old oaks beyond the garden walls. What remains is the water, 5 fountains, each one running, each one's particular sound layered with the others. The steady splash of the topmost basin, the more complex trickling of the dolphin fountain, the nearly silent seep of the grotto spring, the wider, deeper rush of the lowest fountain near the garden's exit, where the water falls a full meter into a stone trough before continuing on underground to feed the irrigation channels that water the lower orchard. A symphony in its quiet way, composed not by any single person, but by the cumulative decisions of 4 centuries of garden designers, hydraulic engineers, and the simple, patient persistence of gravity, doing what gravity has always done, moving water from a higher place to a lower one, century after century, without ever once growing tired of the work. The library ledger, inside the villa, in a room just off the loggia, there is a library. Lorenzo is permitted to use it. The present owners, a family who has held this villa for 4 generations now, though 4 generations is recent compared to the garden's full history, have always understood that Lorenzo's knowledge of this garden is itself a kind of treasure, perhaps the garden's greatest treasure, and they have given him access to everything the library holds that pertains to the garden's history. The ledger, a leather-bound book, its pages the color of strong tea, its ink faded to brown in the oldest entries, written in a hand quite different from Lorenzo's own careful, modern script. The first entries date to 1571. The garden's original construction, notes on the planting of the box hedges, the ordering of the marble for the statues, shipped from quarries near Carrara, the installation of the bronze sundial, recorded with particular care, including the name of the mathematician who calculated its angle, a man named Fra Ignazio, a Franciscan friar with a particular gift for astronomy and geometry, who traveled from a monastery near Florence, specifically to set this single instrument correctly. Lorenzo has read this entry many times. Fra Ignazio, a man dead for more than 4 centuries, whose single contribution to this garden, the correct angle of a bronze blade, calculated to match a specific latitude, continues to function exactly as he intended. Every single sunny day, without fail, without maintenance, beyond the gentle cleaning that Lorenzo gives it each spring. This is what good work does, Lorenzo thinks. It continues long after the person who did it has been forgotten by everyone, except, perhaps, an old gardener reading an old ledger by lamplight. 450 years later, he turns the pages carefully, each one a small window into a past that feels, in this garden, not quite past at all. The night blooming jasmine, as the light fades further, the jasmine that climbs the wall near the villa's east entrance begins its nightly transformation. Many flowers release more fragrance after dark, an evolutionary strategy, since the moths and other night-flying pollinators that many flowers depend on navigate by scent more than by sight. And so the flowers that depend on them have learned, over millions of years to save their strongest perfume for the hours when sight is least useful. The jasmine here knows this in its wordless, ancient, biological way. As the blue hour deepens toward true night, the small white star-shaped flowers, Jasminum officinale, the common jasmine, planted along this wall sometime in the 19th century, itself now over 100 years old in its rootstock, though individual stems are replaced as needed, release their fragrance in earnest. Sweet, heady, a little intoxicating if you stand close to the wall and breathe deeply. Lorenzo passes this wall every evening at almost exactly this hour, and almost every evening he pauses for a moment, simply to breathe it in. He has never tired of this smell. He thinks sometimes, though he has never said this to anyone, that if heaven has a smell, it is probably something like this. Jasmine in the blue hour, with the cypress going black against the darkening sky, and the fountains still running somewhere below. He breathes. He continues his walk. The statues in the dark, the marble figures of the garden, as the light fails, become something different than they are by day. By day, under the bright Tuscan sun, the statues are simply beautiful. The carved goddesses and allegorical figures of the seasons, their classical drapery, their serene, weathered faces. By night, or in this hour, the hour between day and true night, they become something more uncanny. Pale shapes among the darkening green, the white marble seeming almost to generate its own faint light, the way pale stone often does in the last moments before full dark, holding onto the day's brightness a little longer than the green and brown things around it. Lorenzo has worked among these statues for 51 years. He thinks of them in some quiet corner of his mind that he has never examined too closely, almost as colleagues, silent ones, patient ones. They have watched him grow from a young man of 27 into an old man of 78, and they have not changed at all in that time, or changed so slowly, weathering by fractions of a millimeter each year, that the change is imperceptible within a single human lifetime. The figure representing autumn near the third fountain holds a stone sheaf of wheat that has lost, over the centuries, several of its individual carved stalks to weather and accident. The figure representing spring near the parterre has a face so softened by 4 centuries of rain that her expression has become almost abstract. You can no longer say with certainty whether she is smiling or simply at peace. Lorenzo has decided, privately many years ago, that she is at peace. He likes this idea. He passes her every evening. He has, in his own quiet way, become fond of her. What the Sundial, TEACHES. Lorenzo has returned to the Sundial. It is the last stop on his evening round, as it is the first stop on his morning round, the still point around which his daily circuit turns. The shadow of the gnomon in this fatting light has grown very long, stretching almost to the edge of the dial's bronze face, last sliver of daylight nearly spent, he stands beside it. He has stood beside this sundial perhaps 18,000 times across 51 years, and he has never once grown bored of the small, specific lesson it offers. The sundial cannot lie. It cannot rush. It cannot pretend the hour is other than it is. It simply receives the sun's light, casts its honest shadow, and tells the truth, not loudly, not insistently, but with the calm, unbothered certainty of something that has been telling this particular truth for 4 centuries and expects to go on telling it for several more. Vulnerant omnes, ultima necet. Every hour wounds, the last one kills. Lorenzo, at 78, thinks about this inscription differently than he thought about it at 27. At 27, it seemed a clever, slightly morbid bit of classical wit, the kind of thing Renaissance humanists liked to carve into garden ornaments to seem learned. At 78, it seems simply true, and this is the part that took him decades to understand. It is not a sad truth. It is instead an invitation. Since every hour wounds, the inscription suggests, you might as well spend the hour well. Since the last one kills, you might as well, before it arrives, attend properly to all the ones that come before it. The apricot at the wall, the jasmine at dusk, the sound of 5 fountains layered together in the blue hour, the marble face of spring, softened into an expression of peace. These are not distractions from the sundial's grim truth. They are the correct response to it. Lorenzo has spent 51 years without ever quite phrasing it this way to himself, learning to give the correct response. He touches the sundial's bronze edge, gently, the way he has touched it 10,000 times before. Good evening, he says to it, quietly in Italian, the way he says good evening to it every single evening of his working life. The sundial, of course, says nothing back. It has already told him everything it has to say. The owl, a sound now from the cypress avenue, soft, low, the call of a little owl, the civetta, as it is known in Italian, the small owl common throughout the Italian countryside. Its call a short, plaintive, slightly questioning note, repeated at intervals. Lorenzo knows this owl, or this family of owls. He is not certain whether it is the same individual bird he has heard for years, or a succession of owls, parents and offspring, each generation finding the same hollow in the same old cypress trunk that has apparently suited little owls for as long as Lorenzo has been listening to them. The call comes again from somewhere in the dark mass of the cypress avenue, invisible now in the deepening blue of the evening. It is, Lorenzo thinks, one of the most peaceful sounds in the garden, not because it is gentle, exactly. There is something melancholy in the little owl's call, something that has made poets across many centuries reach for words like lonely or mournful to describe it. But Lorenzo does not hear loneliness in it. He hears continuity. This owl or its ancestors have been calling from these cypress trees since the cypress trees were young, since 1574, perhaps, or close enough to it. The owl was here through every century this garden has stood, through every war that touched this hillside, every change of ownership, every fashion in garden design that came and went and left this particular garden by some grace, mostly untouched. The owl calls, the fountains run, the cypress stand black against the sky. The garden continues, being exactly what it has always been. This is, Lorenzo thinks, perhaps the deepest comfort this place has ever offered him. Not that nothing changes. Everything changes, eventually. Even gardens, even stone. But that some things change so slowly, so gently, with such patient unwillingness to be rushed, that within a single human life, they feel almost like permanence, almost like peace. The lower gate, at the very end of the central axis, past the last terrace, past the orchard wall and the fig trees and the espaliered pears. A gate, smaller than the entrance gate, simpler, made of plain iron bars rather than the ornate scrollwork of the main entrance. Because this gate was never meant to impress visitors. It was meant only to mark the boundary, the point where the formal, ordered Renaissance garden ends and the wilder grove beyond it begins. Beyond the gate, oak woods, ilex in Italian. The home oak, native to this hillside long before any garden was imagined here. Its dense evergreen canopy a different kind of darkness than the cypress avenues, softer somehow, more tangled, the wood floor beneath it carpeted in fallen leaves that never fully decompose in the dry Mediterranean climate, but simply accumulate, year upon year, into a deep, fragrant, slowly shifting layer of brown and gold. Lorenzo stands at this gate most evenings. He looks out at the dark woods. He does not go in, usually. Not at this hour, not anymore. Though as a younger man, he sometimes walked the woodland paths at dusk, simply for the pleasure of the different quality of darkness there. Tonight, he simply looks. The woods, beyond the order of the garden, represent something the Renaissance designers understood very well and built carefully into their plan. The controlled contrast between cultivation and wildness, between the geometry of the human mind and the older, less orderly intelligence of the forest. You need both. The old garden's logic insists. The order makes the wildness comprehensible. The wildness makes the order feel earned, rather than simply imposed. Lorenzo has spent 51 years tending the order. He has never resented the wildness, just beyond his gate. He has, instead, come to feel that his life's work, the clipped box, the swept gravel, the cleaned bronze sundial, exists in a kind of conversation with that wildness, a conversation that has been going on since 1571 and shows no sign of needing to end. He closes the small gate, though it was never locked, simply because closing it is part of his evening ritual. He turns back toward the villa. The walk back, up through the garden, terrace by terrace, in the reverse of his earlier path. The blue hour has nearly given way now to true darkness. The first stars are visible above the dark mass of the cypress trees, not as many as you might see in a truly dark place. The villa's own lights, and the distant glow of a small town somewhere beyond the hills washing out the faintest of them. But enough. Enough to see that the sky, too, like the garden, like the old gardener walking through it, contains a kind of patient order. The fountains, in the full dark, sound different again, more present, somehow. Now that sight has receded, as the dominant sense and hearing has come forward to take its place. The water, always the water, running as it has run every night for 450 years, completely unconcerned with whether anyone is present to hear it. Lorenzo passes the grotto again. The trickle of the spring in the dark sounds almost like a voice, not words, nothing so specific, but a kind of murmur, a continuous soft sound that the mind, left to its own devices in the dark, might be tempted to interpret as speech. He does not interpret it that way. He has heard this sound too many times, across too many years, to need to make it into anything other than what it actually is. Water moving through stone, as water has always moved through stone, here and everywhere, since long before there were gardens, or gardeners, or Latin inscriptions about the wounding nature of passing hours. The Villa 18 night. The villa itself. A few lights are on in the kitchen, where someone is finishing the evening's cooking, in an upper window, where one of the family's children, perhaps, is reading before sleep. Lorenzo does not live in the villa. He has a small house at the edge of the property, near the tool shed, a house that was built specifically for the garden's keeper sometime in the 18th century, and has housed, in succession, perhaps 6 or 7 gardeners across 2.5 centuries. Lorenzo's house, stone like everything here, small, simple, a single main room with a hearth, a small kitchen, a bedroom above reached by a steep wooden stair. His wife, Carlotta, died 11 years ago. He still speaks of her, sometimes, to the garden, not in any ritualistic or formal way, simply in the way that a person who has loved someone for 50 years continues, almost without noticing, to address comments to them long after they are gone. The figs are good this year, Carlotta, he might say, eating one at the south wall, or simply looking at the sundial in the last light. It's evening already. Where did the day go? He does not expect an answer. He has, in his own quiet way, made peace with not expecting one. The garden has helped with this, he thinks. A garden teaches you slowly, across enough years, that presence does not require an answering voice. The cypress trees do not answer him either. The fountains do not answer him. He has learned to find their silent, continuous presence sufficient. It is, most evenings, enough. The evening meal, Lorenzo's small kitchen, a simple supper, bread somewhat stale from yesterday, which he tears rather than slices, olive oil from the estate's own olives, pressed each autumn at the small communal press in the village below, the same press that has served this hillside's farms for generations. The oil this year, particularly good, green and peppery and fresh. Tomatoes from his own small garden behind the house, the last of the season's crop, the plants beginning now to yellow and tire as autumn approaches, but still producing generously a handful of fruit each day. He slices them simply. Salt, the good olive oil, a little basil, also from his garden, torn rather than cut, because Lorenzo learned long ago that torn basil releases its fragrance more generously than basil cut with a knife. He ate slowly at his small table by the single window that looks out distantly toward the dark shape of the Cypress Avenue, just visible against the night sky. A glass of the local red wine, the rough, honest wine of these hills, not refined, not expensive, but entirely sufficient. He eats, he drinks, he looks out the window at the garden he has spent his life tending. The garden looks back, in its way, its silence, its patience, its 450 years of accumulated evenings, just like this one, in which some gardener, some version of Lorenzo, ate a simple supper and looked out at the dark shapes of the cypress and felt, in some wordless way, at peace. The sounds of the night garden, if you were to stand very still right now on the middle terrace beside the sundial in the full dark, this is what you would hear. The fountains, all 5 of them, their individual sounds blending now in the dark into something closer to a single continuous music. The steady top note of the highest basin, the more complex middle voice of the dolphin fountain, the deep, resonant bass of the lowest fountain near the orchard gate. The cypress, if there is any wind at all, and tonight there is the faintest breath of one, barely perceptible, coming up from the valley below as the air cools and begins its slow nightly movement downhill. The cypress branches make a sound almost too soft to name. A whisper, a rustle, the sound of needled branches moving very slightly against each other. 40 trees doing this in near perfect unison, because they were planted at the same time and have grown across 4.5 centuries into something very close to a single organism, responding to the same small currents of moving air. The little owl, calling again from somewhere in that same cypress avenue. Crickets in the box hedges, in the orchard grass, in the dry stone walls. The steady, rhythmic, completely unhurried pulse of Mediterranean crickets. A sound so constant through Italian summer nights that it becomes, after enough exposure, almost a kind of silence itself. Present, but unremarkable, the background against which every other sound in the garden is heard, and somewhere very distantly, beyond beyond the garden's walls, the bells of the village church marking some hour, the bronze tone carrying clearly across the still night air the way church bells carry across Italian hillsides. A sound that has marked the hours in this valley since long before the sundial, since long before the garden, since the bells of that particular church tower were first cast and hung. The hours marked twice over tonight, once by the silent, patient bronze of the sundial, now resting in full darkness, its work complete until the sun returns, once by the bells, marking the hour in sound for those who are awake to hear it. Eloariensios night. He has finished his supper. He washes the single plate, the single glass, in the small stone sink. He banks the small fire in his hearth, not large enough tonight to need much tending. The autumn evening, not yet cold enough to require a roaring blaze, just enough warmth to take the slight chill off the stone walls of his small house. He climbs the narrow wooden stair. His bedroom, simple, a bed, a chest, a small window that looks like the kitchen window below toward the garden. He undresses slowly, his body at 78, asking for a slower pace than it once did, and he gives it that slower pace without resentment, the way he has learned across 51 years in this garden, to give all things the pace they require. You cannot rush the cooling of the bronze in evening air. You cannot rush the ripening of an apricot. You cannot rush an old man's bones as they prepare for sleep. He lies down. The window beside his bed shows him, faintly, the dark shapes of the upper terraces, the suggestion of the parterre's geometric hedges, just visible by starlight. He closes his eyes. He has done this, exactly this, in exactly this bed, beside exactly this window, for 51 years. He knows the sound of this house at night, the way he knows the sound of the garden. The particular settling of old stone as it cools. The very faint, very distant murmur of the fountains, carried up from the terraces below on still nights like this one. He breathes. He sleeps. You are drifting. You are in the garden still, or somewhere very like it. The cypress black against the stars. The fountains running their quiet, layered music. The sundial resting in darkness. Its work done for today. Its long bronze shadow erased now by the absence of any sun to cast it. The jasmine, still releasing its sweetness into the cooling night air. The little owl, calling once more softly from somewhere in the dark avenue. All of it here, all of it holding you. Your breathing has slowed to match the garden's own unhurried rhythm. Your body, heavy now, warm, completely at rest, has absorbed something of the garden's patience without your quite noticing when it happened. This is what a garden like this one teaches. If you stay in it long enough, even only in imagination, even only for this one quiet hour before sleep, that nothing here needs to be rushed, that 450 years of careful tending have produced not urgency, but its opposite, a deep, settled, unshakable calm, the calm of cypress trees that do not hurry to grow, of fountains that do not hurry to fall, of an old sundial that has never once, in 4 centuries, tried to make the hour arrive before its time. You do not need to hurry either. Not tonight, not toward sleep, not toward tomorrow, not toward anything at all. You can simply rest, the way the garden rests, every single night, certain that morning will come when it comes, and not one moment before. The last things, the sundial stands in darkness, its bronze face cool now, the day's warmth slowly releasing into the night air, the way it has released every night for 450 years. The cypress stand black and still against a sky, filling slowly with stars. The fountains run. They will run all night. They have run every night since 1571. Give or take the occasional winter freeze, the occasional repair, the occasional season of drought when the spring that feeds them ran lower than usual. Mostly they have simply run, continuously, patiently. The jasmine releases its fragrance into the dark, for no one in particular, simply because this is what jasmine does. This is what it has always done, long before there were gardens to plant it in, long before there were old gardeners to pause and breathe it in on their evening rounds. The marble statues stand among the darkening hedges. Spring with her softened, peaceful face. Autumn with her incomplete sheaf of stone wheat. They do not move. They have not moved in centuries. This is their particular gift to the garden. An absolute, perfect stillness against which everything else, the running water, the growing hedges, the passing seasons, can be measured and understood. Lorenzo sleeps in his small stone house at the garden's edge. His tools rest in their shed, clean, sharp, ready. The library ledger rests closed on its shelf, its 450-year record complete up to today, waiting for tomorrow's entry, which Lorenzo will not actually write, because he is a gardener and not a scribe, but which exists nonetheless in the simple fact of another day successfully tended. The little owl calls once more, then is quiet. The garden settles fully into its night. The sundial is in darkness. Its shadow has been erased by the absence of sun, but it is still there, waiting for morning, as it has waited every night for 450 years. The cypress are black against the stars, 40 of them, planted in 1574, still growing, still slow. The fountains are running, all 5 of them. The water does not stop for the night. The water has never stopped. The jasmine is releasing its sweetness. For no one, for everyone, the grotto's spring trickles in the dark. The oldest sound in the garden. The statues stand still. Spring is at peace. Autumn holds her incomplete wheat. The little owl is quiet now. Lorenzo is asleep. His tools are clean and ready. The ledger rests on its shelf. Fra Ignazio's careful angle still holds the sun correctly. every single day. Bernardo's gentle cleaning method is still followed every spring. The garden remembers everyone who has ever tended it. It remembers them the way it remembers everything. Slowly, patiently, without hurry, you are remembered here too, tonight. In this small, quiet way, held in the same patient stillness that holds the cypress and the fountains and the old bronze dial. You do not need to hurry. You do not need to solve anything. You simply need to rest, the way the garden rests, every single night, certain that morning will come. When it comes, not one moment before, you are safe, you are held, you are at peace. In the garden, in Italy, in the hour after the bells, the cypress are watching over you. The fountains are singing you to sleep. The old sundial, resting in darkness, has nothing left to measure tonight except your breathing. Slow, even, sure. Good night, dear friend. Sleep well, sleep deeply. Good night, and